Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the female solution.
The earth is in the process of transformation, a separation, such as when a cell divides. Half will remain in the third dimension, the old earth, where there is conflict and violence. The other half will ascend to the fifth dimension, the new earth, where no negativity can exist. All across the world, there are internet content creators that are sharing new information to raise your consciousness and prepare you to ascend to the new earth. Join me, Naima Latif, every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Time, and we will introduce to you these voices of enlightenment. Grand Rising! And thank you all for joining us on this Wednesday morning for another Voice of Enlightenment. Well, today our guest is no stranger to our audience. She is a holistic life coach. And if you follow her shows, you get an opportunity to experience some yoga moves and some breathing and some tapping and some wisdom. She is the author of several books, one of which, of course, is Vegetable Soup for Women. We'll talk about that. And another gift that she has is that she comes to us several days of the week as a talk show host. She was inspired to share her insight and wisdom with the world via this wonderful tool of the internet, which allows us to speak to people all across the world. And today she's speaking to us and giving us a bit of knowledge that will aid in our journey towards enlightenment. So I'd like to welcome to the show my dear sister, Viyahta Robinson. Grand Rising.
Grand Rising. Thank you for inviting me back to your family platform. I'm still a family. I'm just growing every day.
Growing? Yeah, well, that's the thing. As we grow and expand, and that's why we're here, because this message has to grow. It has to reach the four corners of the earth. I love how people call it four corners as if the earth was square, but it has to reach the four corners of the earth because we are living in very tumultuous times, but also transformative times. And if we can get more people to tune in to where Mother Earth is going so they can be on board, then we'll have so much more people that will experience the joy at the end of the road. So thank you for coming on back to share your insight. So now my
Thank
first
us,
question.
as we say, thank us.
Thank us, yes. And just a little backstory for people who may, well, before I get to the backstory of how we met, tell us what inspired you to start a channel. First it was on Blog Talk, and which was an audio channel, and then of course now we've evolved to the visual platforms. But what motivated you to start a show to share your knowledge?
I think it was being in a very unsatisfied marriage at some point. I was married I was with my spouse, my son's father for 38 years total. And at some point, the communication was severely lacking. And I realized we didn't have a lot in common. So instead of continuing to nag him about change, I went off into explore what can I do differently. I had my own business for a while. I had a healthy home cleaning business for 10 years. And then that became too physical, too stressful for my body. So I started looking into other activities to participate in. So I don't know how I got introduced to Blog Talk Radio, but I did. And I started exploring it. I know how. The Spirit was just guiding me in my prayers to do something different. The Spirit guided me right into Blog Talk Radio. Oh, you can do that. You love to talk. Go ahead, do it. And with a lot of resistance and a little fear about, oh, I don't know if I can do that, I just jumped right into it because my husband and I were not communicating well, and we weren't getting along well, and our traveling days had subsided. We traveled all over the world, but at some point when he retired, we weren't traveling as much. So I jumped right into Blog Talk, and for every day, 15-minute shows, I think they were free for 15-minute shows, and I invited people to join me. And so I got a slow start, and I got used to promoting health. And I was working in a health food store at that point, probably more than 10 years. No, almost 10 years I had been working in a health food store. So I had accumulated so much knowledge and experience working with customers who were sick and dying that was my topic on Blog Talk Radio, helping people get well and sharing my knowledge of health and nutrition. So that's how I got started. And 10 years later, can you believe, Naima, I think all of us had been in Blog Talk for about 10 years, and they decided, we're not going to keep this open anymore. We had to say, oh, what are we going to do now? So I shifted full time over to YouTube channel, Viyahta's Tiny House Village. And so that's where I'm having all my fun now these days, Viyahta's Tiny House Village on YouTube channel.
Well, there's the backstory on that. And, it is interesting that so many of us got started on Blog Talk. And then, like you say, they just said, oh, well, we're tired of this. And I knew they were having problems because they kept having a lot of technical issues.
Yeah.
But now how we met, when I started the Female Solution back in 2012, first I had been a guest on a number of shows because of the book that I wrote entitled The Female Solution. And I was a regular on a show in St. Louis. And then the host of the show, she said, well, why don't you start your own show? So I was like, okay, fine. And she and I and another sister joined us, who has since transitioned back to Spirit, Cynthia Marie Williams. And we were hosting, I think, half-hour shows. I think we started out once a week, and then it escalated to 5 days a week. And then the other two, it just kind of got a bit too much for them doing it daily. So I was doing it by myself for a while, but I had a call-in number, the Blog Talk call-in number. And I had a couple of women that called in and they just had such wisdom all the time. And one of them was Viyahta. And that, I was very impressed with the insight and the knowledge. And I ended up, during that time, my daughter was living overseas. And she said, Mom, I've been over here for 2 years. You haven't visited me yet. So I said, okay, well, I got to pull myself away and go and visit her. And I was going to be there for 2 weeks. And the other person who called in, a lot of deep wisdom, her name was Maika. And so when I decided to leave for 2 weeks overseas, I asked these two women if they would be willing to step in for me and host the show in my absence. And they said yes. And the interesting thing was, because of the time difference, it was 7 a.m. here and 9 p.m. there. And I still, wanted to call in and listen to the show and, and pull it up on the internet and everything and listen. And I was so impressed with the show, with them hosting. I said, oh, I like this show better with me not on it. And so that's what started me deciding to have other people host the show. And so Viyahta and Maika were a couple of my first hosts. And then, of course, it just grew from there. And one of the things that I learned, of course, is that there are many people who, for whatever reason, life leads them to share their insight. And it has such an impact because people listen, nowadays, everybody's carrying around a device, where they can just listen in, watch, scroll, select shows. So we are in the most powerful time when it comes to being communicators because everyone is connected. All they have to do is choose what they're going to listen to. So my goal was to give them content that was transformative. And this is what we've been doing over the years. And of course, as you have grown with your shows and several shows, people are getting health information, they're getting emotional healing, they're getting spiritual healing. So tell us the days and the times of the show. And of course, she's on the East Coast, and we've been to her house in Florida and everything. But during the time zone thing, that's been challenging because some people are in different time zones, and one of us is we even started out with a host that was overseas, and we also have a person overseas. So always have to remember people are listening at different times. But even if they don't listen live, the shows are always available on YouTube, Facebook. So what are the days and times and titles of your shows that you're producing weekly?
So Friday mornings, I used to be on Naima's platform at 8 a.m. Friday morning, health and well-being with Viyahta. So I went back to my own YouTube channel and gave space for an amazing sister that is now Cinnabella. That was such a synchronistic move, I think, and divine interaction for me to make space for that amazing queen. That's how I look at it.
It's such a wonderful.
It was a difficult decision to decide to leave that platform and go over here. But every time I watch Cinnabella, I'm like, I had to move over for the queen. That's why I moved to a 9 o'clock after Cinnabella, because I really respect that sister. And all that she brings to Naima's Friday morning show is just wonderful, transformational, wisdom, all that. So anyway, Friday morning at 9, right after Cinnabella on Naima's Female Solution, I come on with Health and Wellbeing with Viyahta. And I share over 35 years of knowledge, experience on being an athlete. Even 71 years around the sun, I'm still an athlete. I do more yoga. I do more stretching. I'm learning how to do Tai Chi. I'm doing so many wonderful new things with my body that Friday morning, I look so forward to sharing this experience I'm having in this temple. It's like every morning, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. So Friday morning at 9 o'clock, I'm on Viyahta's Tiny House Village YouTube channel, but I'm also live on Facebook, Soul Purpose Healing, and my personal channel. So, and then Sunday, I've had that Sunday show on YouTube. Well, it used to be Blog Talk Radio. Now it's Sunday. Soul Purpose Healing is a focus on spiritual growth and evolution more than just health and well-being. It's also mind, body, spirit. But Soul Purpose Healing on Sunday evening at 8 is really more helping us to evolve. And I'm really joined with my synchronistic human family of enlightenment to help people recognize there's another calendar that we have been ignoring by Jose Arguelles and the synchronistic family. So I focus on Sunday night, bringing that energy of a new calendar, a new energy, a new vibration, a new frequency to help us evolve spiritually. And then Wednesday at 7, that's tonight, I started another show regularly because I wrote this book, Vegetable Soup for Women, with 8 other people. And the knowledge and wisdom that I gained just from collaborating with these people was so amazing and so divine in nature, and just an amazing experience that I said, okay, every Wednesday at 7, I'm going to highlight this book And I invite some of the authors to join me on Wednesday at 7. In fact, tonight, L.A. Davis, who's one of the authors, is going to join me. We're going to talk about sustainable living, because the book came out of my my reaction to Tyler Perry's movie Straw, where this woman had the most crazy life experience, very pessimistic, very sad, depressing. And I watched and we got to bring about a reverse of that experience and help women have hope, have women know that there are ways they can nourish their body, mind, and finances, which Tyler Perry did not do in that movie. So that's how I participated in writing this book, because I was really depressed about that whole movie. Why would he do that? And I said, okay, I'm going to turn it around and offer collection of stories to nourish your body, mind, and body. Because there are a lot of women going through that: the homelessness, the evictions, the loss of your child. So we cover everything in this book, and it's available as a PDF from my channel right now, and also on the Facebook page. There's a Facebook page for Vegetable Soup for Women. So those are my 3 regular shows. But then if anything comes up during the week, say one of my guests, I've invited people, Naima, to join me, say like on the West Coast. And they're 3, oh, that's too early, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, pick a day, pick a time. I'm available. I got Tuesday, Monday, I got Thursday, Saturday. And that has worked. Occasionally I'll have a guest on one of those other days, because I really am wanting to be very flexible to get this message of truth and loving compassion and peace out to the world right now.
Yes, that is the objective. And you do that very well. And you've had some regulars, our dear sister Mama AZ, who she shares some interesting insights. So
well, let me just say, Mama AZ is for all of us a topic of discussion, where a senior citizen is evicted out of her home, now living in a nursing home, struggling with her health and how to find another home. So all of us know Mama AZ so well. We can always, to me, bring in her story and remember, I just did a show about, we don't have problems, but what are the opportunities to grow from knowing someone like Mama AZ, and how her situation can change with us as creators, content creators on YouTube and all that. We can use her story, in my opinion, to bring a solution and help people resolve similar problems. So I think that's why she's in our life. That woman is so resilient and strong.
She is so resilient. She just amazes me. And she's one that could literally live off the land, even in an urban environment. So
yeah.
we as you say, we've heard from her over the years. She continues to be strong, resilient, and has that intuition that a lot of people don't understand when they don't live by the spirit the way she does. And so I'm always inspired when I speak to her. And we have on, of course, the On Air Radio Network page, the listing of shows that we want to keep you all informed of. And I believe we've got all of your shows. We've got the Viyahta's Tiny House Village. Oh, here we are. Health and Wellbeing with Viyahta. And I believe we also have your Wednesday show listed here. And one of the things that we seek to do, Vegetable Soup for Women on the Wednesday evenings. And all people have to do is just tap on the link to the YouTube channel, and we're opening up this guide for the kinds of shows that we want people to pay attention to bring up, to watch, to listen to every day when they're on their cell phone or in front of their computer. We want them to make conscious choices of the kind of information that they're choosing to allow into their minds. Because if you listen to things that upset you and put you in a state of fear and anxiety, then you can't think creatively. And that's what those who seek to keep control of things wish to do, is to keep you in such a state of fear that you can't think, you can't create, you can't resolve problems. So we need to listen to all of those who are using the power of the internet to teach, inspire, and motivate.
Yeah, and there's so many distractions with the having a phone. You know, I'm sure when you're out, everybody's on their phone. I mean, I see people walking down the street on their phone. Like,
crossing the street, about to get hit by a car because they're on their phone.
Or even being grabbed by a stranger. I saw a guy talk about how he got in his car one night and a guy knocked on his window and said, "You've got a nail in your tire." And he said, okay. And he said he was parked in a dark spot in Walmart in the July. It was late at night, and some white guy comes up and said, "You got a nail in your tire." He said, okay. And he said, "I'll check it out." And he said he watched the guy, and he said he just looked really suspicious. Bottom line, he said they're trying to get black men too, because when he got home, there was no nail in his tire. There was nothing wrong.
So you're trying to get him to get out the car.
Oh, and he said, "Be careful out there. Don't get out your car." He was just warning people, don't get out your car when somebody's whatever. So distractions everywhere. And it's like, be careful. Watch
Definitely
out.
Use your intuition.
Pray before you leave home.
Yes. Yeah. If it doesn't feel right, that's your warning. We all have a warning system. It's a natural warning system. When something doesn't feel right, that means it isn't right. Trust your intuition all the time. Live by your intuition. It never fails you. But we're going to take a quick break because we want to greet our global family that is joining us from all across the world. And we invite you to share this show. If you don't hear us live, you can always hear us later, but we want to give you an opportunity to comment while we're here, and we can acknowledge what you have to say. And if you just really want to be heard, you can call in at 727-731-5192, because we always want to hear from you. And we will be right back, and we'll talk more about some of the inspiring work that you've done over the years and some of the controversies that you have not been afraid to face. So we will be right back. Stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back in a moment.
We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network called 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you. Yes, we do want to talk to you, and we want you to talk to us too. And one of the things that we realized is that people have a real need to be heard, because sometimes the average person gets ignored. So that's why these kinds of programs are so popular, because people do get a chance to voice their opinions. Now, we know
and I had to be real careful how I word things. There is still a level of censorship when it comes to the mind control systems that are still in place. In the year 2020, the entire world experienced what became known as a pandemic, with the emergence of a virus. And the interesting thing, those who were spiritually in tune, it's like we were getting warnings. We were getting warnings that we were about to be hoodwinked. And our intuition was telling us that something wasn't quite right. Just like your friend with the guy telling them there's a nail in the tire. Our intuition was telling us that there was something else underneath the surface. So when the coronavirus appeared and suddenly rapidly spread, now I was in the news, and our media team, we were going to all the press conferences, we were going to all the and the mayor and the governor, they were giving daily press conferences and giving you a death toll just to scare you to death. Oh my God, I'm scared to breathe. So people were in a panic, but something inside me said, they're trying to scare us in order to talk us into something. And they kept saying, if we could just get a vaccination, if we could just get a vaccine, if we could just get some kind of way to fight this. And I listened to that, and my spirit said, oh, that's the deal. And I felt it, I knew it. And I had a dream like 15 years ago that something was going to happen that was going to have worldwide implications. But even if you knew, you couldn't let people know that you knew. You had to hide your expressions on your face and play along like you were just as in the dark as everybody else, because it's like they would hunt you out and silence you if you. I had this really intricate dream about it, and this was 15 years before it even happened. So when this happened, there were some voices among us that were saying, no, everything you're hearing is not what it seems to be. And Viyahta, you were one of those voices, which took a lot of courage, because there was a lot of censorship going on during that period. If you said the wrong words on YouTube, they would shut you down. People were having to come up with euphemisms to even talk about it, because it was that intense. And it just became clear that the healthcare industry that relies on us getting old and sick so we can use all their products has a lot more power and control than we realize. And the economy is so much based on keeping us sick and scared that they can't afford for voices of enlightenment teaching us about natural healing and health to become dominant. And I saw that. I'm like, wow, this is serious. So how did you feel as you saw things emerging, and what urged you to just face those powers that be, or powers that want to be and aren't, because there is only one power, and that's the creative universe. But those who want to be powerful, what motivated you to face them head on and say what you had to say anyway?
Well, I had so many conscious professional people I was following on the internet or YouTube. Like Christian Northrup is a gynecologist, female, who I had read her book years ago when I was working in a health food store. She was one of the most active, vigilant, anti whatever for this pandemic. She was like, no, don't do it. And then there were other people who wrote, Cherry Tenpenny. I had read her book years before. She was actively, warning people. So I had quite a few people educating me. and helping me understand all the fear mongering, all that. And I go, no way, no way. So then I'm sharing it. And so the biggest lesson came for me, Naima, when my two sons on Mother's Day now came and told me, when I was living in the ashram where you and the women visited, they came on Mother's Day and said, Mom, we have something to tell you. We took the jab. And I was like, after all my preaching and teaching and warnings, these two young men decided, I guess from peer pressure, it wasn't really work pressure because I don't think their jobs were forcing them to do anything, but they decided because of their own journey, their own assignment, that they were going. That day, Naima, my heart just sank. I was like, wow. Because I'm thinking all that I had learned of the risk involved in making that choice could kill people, and it has the heart problems and all the other cancers. So in that moment, my heart just sank. I was like, my two sons, my adult son, and then Spirit so clearly spoke to me in that moment. And this was part of my continual growth and acceleration to like be my own person. Spirit said, you are no longer a mother influencer. You are their spiritual partner. And it's like, so later that night, as I thought about what I was hearing about these two adult men, and they were in their, I'm going to say they were, okay, that was how many years ago? They were in their late 30s at that point. And so when I heard, I was so depressed that day, Mother's Day, and we were in the pool that day. You remember that was a beautiful sight. They came and announced that they weren't listening to me. You're not influencing us anymore. That moment for me was a realization that every adult person in my life was a spiritual partner. I don't care whether it was my ex-husband, you, or anybody. We are on this journey together. I am not to be trying to control any adults. So it was an awakening, even though it was one of the saddest points of my life to say I was trying to warn them. I said, okay, everybody's a spiritual partner. I need to back off. I'm not influencing anybody, really. I'm just sharing my knowledge and hope they take it. And if they do, yay, celebrate. But my relationship with them has changed from that point on to whatever decisions they're making, whether it's alcohol or whatever. I'm just an observer in the assignment that they have to complete, and my assignment to take care, fly first, love me first, love yourself.
First, love yourself. Yes.
That's what I do. And that was, even though it was a difficult moment, if you're hearing, like you were saying, intuitively hearing the voice, practice tuning in on a higher voice, then it will bring you peace.
Yes.
We at this point in this journey of transformation, chaos, war, all that to me is the most important thing we need to do, is fine tune our spiritual ears to hear above the noise what my assignment is, and not be trying to influence and control everybody around me, but to partner with them on this spiritual journey. So that's what was changed. That's life-changing for me. So I try and have that relationship with everyone. It's a spiritual partnership. You have an assignment, I have an assignment. Can we talk about, let's get together and work on raising the consciousness of this planet. How do we do that? And that's what we are doing tonight for women. Yes. Raising the consciousness.
So now tonight is your show, the Vegetable Soup for Women, correct?
Yes.
And that is,
and we're going to talk about sustainable housing. In fact, the guy who my guest was on Asada's show a couple of weeks ago, he had 6 kids, and he was talking about how they had turned into entrepreneurs. So I contacted him and asked him to be my guest, and he said, I think tonight he's going to be my guest. I'm waiting for a final confirmation, but he's going to talk about sustainable housing because that's his passion as well. So it should be how to find sustainable housing. How do you maintain sustainable housing? I'm living in my second tiny house, 320 320 square feet. My first one was 160 square feet on a wheels, tiny house on wheels. So I have learned, and I have an ebook on that actually that I don't promote a lot, but living in a tiny house, how to maintain it, how to repair and all that. So I'm going to share sustainable housing is easy. Once you find it, it's easy to maintain it. And it just brings you so much peace that you don't have to do a lot in it.
Yeah, not an unnecessary space to store
Yeah.
unnecessary junk, which is what we do with our space. So,
Yeah.
well, we're going to take another break and come back and talk about your commitment to sharing this kind of knowledge, especially as we look at there's a need for us to change economically what we're doing. We have all these homeless people who can't afford to buy a house in the conventional sense, getting a 30-year mortgage and all of that. And is that really the way we need to go? And do we need to better use the space that we have? Do we need to live more simply? So you're demonstrating solutions in terms of what's really needed for a home, and perhaps the kind of housing in the future that we can build that can make sure everybody is housed. So we'll be right back to talk more with life coach Viyahta. And if you would like to add your comment, or we'll share some comments when we come back from this quick break. So stay with us.
Welcome to Master Force with Mushim Suit. Join us each week on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central, live on Facebook and YouTube on the Female Solution page, as we dive into powerful topics designed to assist you in mastering your life force. Our conversations feature a diverse lineup of experts, all dedicated to your growth. Tune in weekly to discover new ways to elevate your spirit and raise your vibration. And remember, we are ascending.
Yes, we are ascending. That is the time we're in. So now we're on with the On Air Daily News Hour, 7 p.m. Central Time. And Viyahta's show is on 6 p.m. Central Time, right before us. So tune on in. And here, of course, hers is 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and ours is 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So whatever time you're at, just tune in, watch the shows. And we need people to choose what they're going to put their attention to. If something is not feeding you knowledge that makes you feel empowered, then it's depleting you and making you feel helpless and fearful and keeping you from thinking creatively. So this is why we urge you to follow those people that we recommend, because they can enhance your life. So you have shared so much wisdom over the years, and I'll bring up your website. One of the things that we appreciate is the fact that you've shared a lot of health knowledge with people who over the years have been programmed to think you get old, you get ill, you die. and you need to be on a whole bunch of medications before you go. I mean, so we've just been programmed to and I thought that way because that's how my parents were, you know. And then my mother finally decided she didn't want to be on any medication, so she would eat a clove of garlic every day and drink a lot of water, and her blood pressure dropped. She didn't need any more medication, and she lived to be 101 years old. And so I realized that we had been programmed to think that getting sick is a natural part of aging, and it isn't. So on your shows and on your Friday health and wellness show, you help people, health and well-being. You guide people through some wonderful exercises. Now, you do yoga, correct? Yes. How long have you been doing, you know, the whole yoga thing?
Yoga I started yoga when I was married. Again, I got bored with the marriage 101, I call it. Got very boring after 30 years, after 35 years, I would say, because the last 3 years were the roughest. It's like, I don't know if I want to be in this, but anyway, so I got really into yoga classes. There was a yoga studio in my neighborhood, so I really jumped into that, and it was resistance from the Christian community because I was still very much a Bible student, and everywhere I look is like yoga's demonic. And say, oh, really? But I'm having so much fun. Like, and I'm learning how to breathe better. And
breathing is demonic. Don't do it.
And I'm stretching, and so it was this conflict for a while, like the Christian community. In fact, there was this really popular magazine that was published in the Florida area, and it was just constantly telling how bad Hinduism is and all these Eastern philosophies that get into yoga and all that. And I finally had to just let that go and go full speed ahead into my yoga practice and get busy improving my health. So yes, yoga is I am a yogi. In fact, in the synchronistic human family, we have kin numbers. I'm kin 178 on the calendar, the synchronistic calendar of 28 days, 28 days and 13 moons. My kin number is associated with being a yogi, which I thought was just amazing for me to feel that and know that at a certain period of my time that, yeah, I'm a yogi. So yeah, that is in my dad's book, right, that you're showing.
Oh, yes.
That was my first big writing journey to put something together for my very famous dad. And that was my first big author production. 6 years to gather all the information. And this is a cover back here as well. And my dad lived to be 95 years old. And he was the beginning of my physical fitness focus, because he was a football coach and a physical education instructor at Harlan High School in Chicago for almost 30 years. So this man started my mental preparation to take care of this body temple. And as you see, and that was actually a college picture that is on the cover. And then he went into professional with Cleveland Browns, New York Yanks, and then he broke his shoulder, which was a good thing because he had to retire. And then I was born like a year later. So
see, everything in divine order. Yes.
All of that, his journey from Jim Crow South in New Orleans through his 3 marriages and his journey in professional football. So that book is available. All my books are available now as a PDF or ebook because it's expensive, as you know, to print books. But there's
killing trees, you know. It's I think it's good that things are digital.
Yeah, but I'm planning to put vegetable soup in a paperback and my new book, From Fear to Faith, in the Master Design, which is the last book I just finished or republished, because that book started From Fear to Faith in the Master Design was first as a book from the journey I had with my sister and breast cancer. It was called My Body is Talking to Me. But then several years later, people were asking me to promote that book or rewrite it or whatever. So Van Dorn had not created a new cover for me. And I said, okay, this journey is more about fear to faith in the master design. The master design being this biological human computer, this temple that we live in. And German New Medicine, which is the big chart on my wall, is the master design in print that shows how every disease manifests based on 3 skin layers and the brain psyche connection. And that's all in this book, how the master design is programmed to help us heal anything and everything when we have the right emotional intelligence. So that's my focus a lot, is emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence,
I believe that's the number one cause of disease or not. A lack of emotional intelligence will put you in the grave.
I totally agree. Of course, we have from Robert Young, 2713 says, awesome challenge. Yes, it is. And our Monday morning mindfulness sister Zelda says, spiritual partnerships are necessary and challenging, but it can be done. Nothing like a made up mind. Ashe. Yes.
Thank us. Yeah.
And Robert Young says, trailblazer. Yes, you are a trailblazer. And he says,
that's because I had a father. The biggest difference in me being who I am, I think, was my dad. Because even though he divorced my mother when I was like 10 years old, he was still very influential in my life, all the way to the end. And so I can't compare myself with other people because they didn't have this man as a father. Yeah. And so whatever.
That's important. That relationship is very significant. He asks, do you have a life purpose? Well, I'm sure at this point you have defined that life purpose and you're following. That's why you do what you do. Absolutely. Yes.
It's like your life purpose is related to partnerships that you have and how you're interacting with those people in your life, and whether you're learning the lessons from the people and the circumstances. I heard someone recently talking about we can no longer hold on to this victim mentality. We are in such a transformational period with the earth. The earth is vibrating differently. The chaos around us has changed. And if you hold on to a victim mentality, you are going to suffer and stay at a low frequency, low vibration. I'm like, yeah. I got to start pushing that message. So if you want to really grow, develop, heal, change, you have to take full responsibility for everything that happened in your life. I don't know if it's rape or whatever.
Yes.
It was meant to teach you a lesson and help you grow. So we have to, if we can accept that being a victim, if we can have an awareness that being a victim is a very low frequency vibration that your body will not thrive on. So
you will attract sickness.
Sickness is going to come to you. Yeah. But if you say, you know what, I know this happened in my life and I'm going to take some responsibility at this point. The body's going to go, whoa, yeah. Like she's waking up. So we want to encourage everybody to think twice about, and especially when it comes to racism, we got to get out of this. My ancestors were slaves and we need reparations and we can't do anything till we get reparations. Your body is sinking lower in the frequency.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, we got to take one last break. When we come back, I really want to hone in on that way we're stuck we're stuck there, and we can't evolve until we can let that go. Got to talk about that. We'll be right back after this last break, so stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be right back after this.
Leaders of nonprofits empowering worlds. Let's go.
But the vision that God gave me, I felt that it was time for me to step out and work on the vision that God gave me.
We need look no further. We have a unique voice. We have a unique talent pool.
Yes, yes. Make sure you stay with us all day so that you can see some of the wonderful information providers that are changing our world by opening our eyes. I really, really am adamant for people who are stuck on racism and anger. First of all, when you are angry, you're making yourself sick. And if you let everybody's attitude, belief, tone of voice, facial expression upset you, oh, they're racist, oh, they're racist, oh, they don't like me, they don't like me. Ignore people. Ignore people. It doesn't matter. What you say, first love yourself. But we are so obsessed with this whole racism thing that we fail to take advantage of all the things we've already achieved. We fail to do the things that are right in our hands and our power to do financially, educationally. There's nothing stopping us at this point but our own holding on to that anger and resentment. If people are not kind to you, remove yourself from their lives. It's like a divorce. If you're not getting along, okay, I'll get my house, you get your house, and then we don't have to argue anymore. We can, come together on the things that we are jointly doing, such as raising children and whatever. And once that's done, okay, when we don't really, I don't have to keep being upset if somebody is not polite to me. Why am I obsessing about that? Be around people who like you. That's the answer to that. But we get stuck there to the point where we become dysfunctional. And we need to let it go. It doesn't matter if you like the color of my skin. I like the color of my skin. I think I'm beautiful. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't need you to like it. Only person whose opinion about me matters is my own. So what do you say to people who they just can't get past, oh, these white people did this, these white people did that? Come on now. I mean, we are in a world now where everybody is intermingling, intermarrying. If you mad because your friend or your child or your parent decided to get involved romantically with a person of another race, and you're obsessing about it and mad at that, that becomes insanity. What do you say to people who are stuck there and can't let that go, can't stop identifying themselves as the body they're wearing, and can't see that they're the soul inside the body? And that's what needs to be evolving. That's what needs, as you said, these spiritual lessons that we're here to learn. What do you say to people who are just stuck there on that racism situation?
So it reminds me of a scripture. I think it was Yeshua. Christ said, the poor will always be with you. Something like the poor in spirit will always be with you. So I think we're going to always have ignorant people in our midst. And that's what, to me, racism is, ignorance. Because once you get to know someone, if you thought that you didn't like their dark skin or white skin or whatever, once you get to know people, you might end up marrying that person. Because that's what happens in a lot of these families. When my dad taught at Harlan High School back in the mostly the 60s, he had mostly white students. Now look at that brown skin. He was teaching mostly white boys in football and everything. And they would go home to racist parents. And so I met some of his students as adults. When I was writing his book, I interviewed some of his students who were now adults, and they told me about how this man transformed their attitude about race, because they would go home and hear, and in this environment of race, and they probably were calling him niggers and all that and at home. But these young boys were being coached by my dad, taught by my dad. My dad was showing them compassion. He was showing them discipline and all that. They came to love this man. And they go home. So they had this conflict, sort of going home to racist parents and then learning from this guy. So he made a difference in the lives of these young white boys who could have grown like their parents, to be ignorant the way their parents. So the ignorance has to be confronted, in my opinion, with love, compassion, and patience. If the poor in spirit will always be with us, why are we going to keep reacting to something about poor in spirit if we are rich in knowledge, compassion, love, which is what the monks were saying in
That's
the
what they were
march
demonstrating.
from Texas to Washington, D.C. We need to be mindful and do not react to people's ignorance, and develop loving compassion, kindness, and peace. And then that frequency is going to change the world, like it did with those young white students of my dad. The frequency that my dad put out with them changed their whole attitude, even though they were living with ignorant, racist parents.
Yeah.
So to us, especially we have the power. We're broadcasting all over the world on our platforms. We cannot afford to be reacting to ignorance like we did. People did in civil rights era or whatever. We have to go higher and respond with loving compassion. I see your lack of experience with Black people. How about you and I go out and have some tea or coffee and talk about your lack of experience with Black people?
Yes, you know, that is the higher response, and that's what we have the power to do, to transform by our own example. We got a few comments here from some of our viewers have said. Let's see. Robert Young says, your mom is a superstar, a woman beneath the wings of your father. Okay, well, we appreciate you recognizing the feminine influence there. And Higher Learning Network, Zelda says, shalom, my beautiful blossoms, sisters. Thanks so very much for these lessons in truth. Ashe. And Robert Young says, so many women have been raped as children by an unconscious man. The old men used to tell her anything she wants to hear to get what you want. Ooh, tell the truth about what happened. Yes. And he says, things will change when women are respected as leaders. I so agree with that. And Zelda says, racism concerns will keep you in a mindset that doesn't serve your best interest, which is not always what we need. 3D construct keeps us trapped. Yes. And yes, Robert Young says, fear, not faith. Yes, that is the word. And you need to ask ourselves, do you even like yourself? Yeah, you got to ask yourself that. And White Folks a Week, that's why they're dependent on us. Well, you know, we do realize...
Hold on. That kind of statement needs to be corrected. White folks are not weak, period. I have some of the best friends who are weak physically, but spiritually very strong. So when you say that, clarify it. Do you mean some of them are mentally weak? But not all white folks are weak. So we know that.
Yeah, not neither physically nor mentally, you know.
Some of the best friends I have are white, and my relatives were white and all that. I can't.
Got people in my family. Yeah. And see that now we must say, when people make disparaging remarks about someone of another so-called race, that is part of what needs to be corrected, because we are all just souls inside a body, and this body does not define you. This is what Yeshua, the one that we know as Jesus, was teaching. You are not your body. You are the eternal soul inside your body. So inside, we are all the Spirit of God. Now, our experience in life and our conditioning will shape the way we think, but it's our responsibility to undo that conditioning. And
I have a strong social capital network. And in that social capital network, I have some very wealthy friends. And I depend on them to pay me when I serve and help them. So it's not like they depend on me or us. We depend on each other. It's really not right. They depend on more Black folks to do that. No, we depend. If you're building a house, you're a dark-skinned carpenter and you build houses, you're depending on whoever wants that house built.
Buy the houses. Yes.
So they don't just depend on us to build the house. They want it. We have got to have more unity. Caroline Chang has her on her unity. What is it? Oneness network.
Awake to Oneness Radio. Yes.
We need to pay attention to that phrase, awake to oneness, because the systems, the so-called racist systems, are about division. That's why we have so much conflict with the government and all these systems, because they work to divide us. The Republicans, the Democrats, the elite, whatever. We, the conscious ones, we, the content creators, Naima and I, and all those, my partners in YouTube who are coming out with positive messages, uplifting messages, we are working to bring unity, because the systems, the powers that should not be, the elite psychopaths, the warmongers are very good at divide and conquer. And we are going to change that, because we know that we have power. Our minds are powerful. Our spirits are powerful. And we know we came here. We are the ones we've been waiting for, as we said.
We're the ones we've been waiting for. That is it.
To bring the unity. So there's no division with white and Black. We're all brothers and sisters. We all have the same great grandparents. You probably were your great white grandparent. So stop thinking you're better than anybody else.
Yeah.
We got to stop that
nonsense. Yeah, we started talking about reincarnation. There's a whole nother show. But yeah, you're the white person. You used to be that white person that you hate. So Robert says knowing your history will help you. Well, history goes a whole lot further back than we realize. But well, we must go. We always had such wonderful conversations. I just hate to leave. But I know people must get their day started. And we appreciate all of you all who've joined us and chimed in, and continue to watch. If you don't remember all the show times and the dates, you can either rewind this tape and watch this, or you can go to the On Air Radio Network, where she's listed along with her YouTube channel link. And that is onaireverywhere.com. And just go to the On Air Radio Network page, and there you go, right there listed, so that you can watch some uplifting, inspiring, empowering programs right on your cell phone or on your computer. But wherever you are, make sure you fill your mind with voices of enlightenment. Thank you so much for joining us. Last words before you go. Last reminders where we need to go. YouTube channel.
Every morning practice. Today is going to be my peaceful day. We're changing the world when we do that. The universe is recognizing our effort to write down, today is going to be my peaceful day. And then the universe is spreading that message out when we make that first choice in the morning. So thank us, united spirits, working together to bring peace to that beautiful earth behind us.
Yes.
And those astronauts are not doing what they say they do. Don't listen to that mess. That's just a last thought. We did not go to the moon the first time. Don't listen to it again.
and there's a whole lot more happening in our galaxy, in our universe, than we've been allowed to know. So
thank us.
Listen to your spirit. That is your divine connection to the Creator, and always trust what you hear and feel.
Ashe. Love you. Mwah. Love you all.
See you next time. Peace.
Okay. Shalom.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.